What's up guys, it's Alex. Adventure bikes. What the crap is an adventure bike? Okay, so adventure bikes are this thing that has sprung up last probably 15 years or so. It's really become super popular the last couple of years. Category of motorcycle that people use for what they call adventure touring. Okay, so adventure bikes really got started, it was probably more than 15 years ago, but it's really only been a thing for about 15 years. They got started with bikes like the Kawasaki KLR and the BMW GS series of bikes, where people took, with the KLR, they took a big dual sport motorcycle and started kind of decking them out for on and off-road touring trips, where you would literally like cross the country on a dual sport bike with hard bags, and some of the old ones have like blocky metal hard bags. So you'd cross the country and tour on like a dual sport bike with hard bags and big windscreen and all that kind of good stuff on it. But then when you got to some really out of the way places, you would be able to get off the road and hit dirt roads and crazy trails and go all kinds of places that you would usually not be able to go on a great big full dressed out bagger. So that's how the adventure bikes got started. People just took bigger dual sports and decked them out to make them able to tour with, so that when they went for these big long motorcycle trips, they would be able to actually get off and do some like crazy stuff off the beaten path. Okay, that was how the whole idea got started. And somewhere along the way, some of these manufacturers started figuring out that people were doing this and started making some bikes that were specifically tailored to that. And for the longest time, they were really just called dual sport motorcycles or dual purpose motorcycles, but they would make some bigger ones. Like the KLR was a good example. The KLR was a dual purpose bike. It started as a dual purpose bike. When they made some changes to it, right around 2008 or something, beefed up the front end, put a bigger windshield, made it easier to put big bags on it. So that was a perfect example of that. You got some bikes like the BMW GS series of bikes that have really always been an adventure motorcycle. I mean, that's got a big old opposed twin R motor in it, they call it. So those have always been a little bit too big and too heavy to be considered truly a dual purpose on off-road bike. They've kind of always been in that adventure category, and that's really the bike in the big bikes. That BMW GS is really the bike that inspired and helped develop that adventure category for people that wanted to be able to tour on a more rugged bike that you could get off the road with. So adventure bikes have become crazy popular. Things like that KLR we mentioned, the BMW GS, the Suzuki Vstroms that are like rock solid, unkillable, and have been one of the best reliable all-around motorcycles for years and years and years. Those things are firmly in that adventure category, and actually for a long time Suzuki built them and marketed them as a dual sport motorcycle, but they're an adventure bike. And even now, if you buy a Suzuki, if you buy a Vstrom 650 or a Vstrom 1000, they put them under an adventure category. They come in like a full-on adventure package now. I digress. I'll do a video soon on dual sport versus adventure to really go over the differences that make up a dual sport versus an adventure bike. But so your adventure bikes, really, when you boil it all down to it, I'm kind of rambling a little bit. When you boil it all down to it, an adventure motorcycle, an adventure touring motorcycle, is going to be some of them are big, some of them are small, it's usually going to be a 650 and up bike. They make a few smaller ones, I know they make a few smaller ones, but it's usually going to be a 650 and up motorcycle that is set up as a good, comfortable, bigger touring bike that has the capability of getting off the road and off the beaten path. That is an adventure motorcycle in a very succinct nutshell. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. There's a lot of little nuances between the bikes and things that make good ones and bad ones. It is a overgrown dual purpose motorcycle that is big enough and heavy enough and has enough motor where you can get wherever you want to on a big motorcycle trip and go across the country or across the world if you want to. Matter of fact, there's some awesome documentaries on people going around the world on motorcycles, adventure touring motorcycles. You should check them out. I'll make a video on like some suggestions on that. But so it's a motorcycle, it's an overgrown dual sport, it's big enough and heavy enough, has enough motor for you to go across the country or around the world on it, but it's still set up with tall enough suspension and beefy enough tires and good enough off-road manners that you can get out there, get off the beaten path, go find something super cool, okay? That's an adventure motorcycle. It is made for adventures. Go figure. It is made for going and blazing your own way. That's what it's for. It is a touring bike that you can get off the damn road with. In a nutshell, okay? Adventure bikes. I will do a video very soon on dual sport versus adventure, just to kind of give some really good little tips on specific differences and what that all boils down to, okay? Any questions, as always, leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys for being so supportive through this whole month, as my schedule has been crazy nuts and I've been trying to crank stuff out for you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take it easy. I'm Alex. Peace.